What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video I want to talk about if Naughty Dog should even be making The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer. Now, I know it may not necessarily be called that, so call it whatever you want. And that's the topic of the video, right? Whether it's called, and I think I don't know if it'll be called Factions 2 or, some spin-off of that, or The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know if it'll even be connected to The Last of Us Part 2, but I want to have a discussion if it's kind of almost too late for the multiplayer to come out. And honestly, I'm conflicted because one thing you should know, before you click off, before you hit dislike, stuff like that, I actually loved Factions in the original Last of Us. I adored it. I think any kind of expansion to it sounds awesome. Honestly, we've heard things, maybe it's like a Battle Royale game, maybe there's a couple different multiplayer components in it, so maybe there is a team deathmatch, maybe there is, I guess, things that they even did back in the original Factions, but then a Battle Royale and additional modes like that. If it's ambitious and it's big, I have no problem with it, okay? It's not really about that. It's more, to me, about the length of time that it's been since The Last of Us Part 2 came out. That's I guess, my sticking point that I can't necessarily get past that I want to, discuss for you guys in this video. So, really quickly, before I ramble on too long, make sure if you haven't already, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, leave a like. If you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, I do a daily video over there, so much less of me over there than here. Podcast Now Plus is its name. Link for it is in the description below, okay? So, again, crystal clear. I actually do want it. It really isn't even a question of, will I play it? Will I buy it? There is actually that hang up, right? Is it actually going to be a game or a edition where you have to pay for it? Is it going to be like a free-to-play thing? Honestly, with the way Sony talks about PC, with the way Sony talks about live service, remember they've kind of talked about that a little bit over the past couple months, I would not be surprised if when this Last of Us thing launches, it's much like a Halo, right? It's entirely separate from the story, which it always was going to be, but I mean so separate that you can get it even if you don't have the game. Oftentimes a lot of expansions, in fact, most of them, you need the base game to play the expansion. I know that's a crazy thought, right? But I could imagine this game not being like that, where you do not need The Last of Us Part 2 in order to play it. It's a free-to-play game. It is cross with PS4, PS5, and PC. It comes out PC day one. I could see, and it could be a Battle Royale, a live service-ish game, to the sense that you could probably earn everything through your normal means, or you can buy it with real-world currency, right? Honestly, done right, none of that is wrong. None of that's bad. None of that scares me. They know how to handle themselves. I love Uncharted's multiplayer. I've loved it since the very first time they did it. I think Uncharted 4's multiplayer is insanely good, insanely fun, exactly what I would want an Uncharted game multiplayer to feel like. And same thing with The Last of Us. Same thing with The Last of Us Faction. So again, it's none of that stuff. My simple thing is, has it been too long since the game has come out? And now there's not much they could do to stop me from thinking that. There's also not too much they can do. It's not their fault is basically what I'm saying, right? Obviously, what happened inside Naughty Dog, whatever's been happening, is happening. And obviously they did start the thing is they started multiplayer very, very late. But I don't know how they've done it in the past with the Uncharted games, with the original Last of Us. How big was the multiplayer team back then? When did they start the multiplayer for those games versus starting the overall game? Because we know, it seems like they started the multiplayer for this game, for The Last of Us Part 2. They started about a year before the game came out. Okay, now maybe that wasn't enough time. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that was around the first time we heard about it, and they kind of announced it. Doesn't mean that's when they had to have started. So they could have started a long time ago. Basically, again, what I'm saying is, could they have fixed it where they worked on it earlier and it was ready to go day one? Yes. Is that what happened? No, it is not. So it is a tough thing. It's a tough thing. It's actually more or less me defending, in a way. I don't want to defend Naughty Dog, but it's more or less me defending Naughty Dog, where the only thing I'm concerned about with the game is that it may not get the support from users, from the player base, as it would have if it came out day one. I can understand why they did it this way, because you buy Part 2, you bought it for a specific reason, and it was for the story, for better or for worse, but you bought it for that. You know what I mean? You bought it for that adventure. You did not buy it for the multiplayer. I don't think anybody bought Uncharted 4 for the multiplayer. I don't think anybody bought a couple people, but the vast majority, okay? So I do understand why they did it, and I don't think it would have made much of an impact if the game came out 6 months, even I'd say around a year after the game came out. Now, you could say I'm just a bit too much in my own head, which would not be the first time people have told me that. No, I mean, because I like to predict things. I like to try to see in the future. And am I always right? No, absolutely not. One of the things that I pitched last year when the game came out would be if you did the multiplayer and you bundled it in with a PS5 version of the game. Now, the game has had like updates that makes it run substantially better on PS5, okay? And a couple games have. God of War's done it, Days Gone's done it, Uncharted 4, I believe, has done it too. There's a couple other games, but The Last of Us got that patch, but it's not that free upgrade. That's what I want you guys to keep in mind. It's not what we've seen with Final Fantasy or a couple other things where you have the PS4 game, the PS5 game is for free, and it comes with additions that you're just not going to get by patching the PS4 game, okay? You're just not going to get it all. I envisioned a world where that would happen at the same time the multiplayer would happen, and I envisioned some sort of anniversary, so a 1-year anniversary, a 6-month anniversary. At the point we're at now, it just, to me, it just becomes a little not as necessary as time goes on. Like, are you going to do the multiplayer a year and a half after the game comes out? Does the multiplayer come out 2 years after the game comes out? That's so weird. I will say two different things. Number one, do I want them to be doing something different from the multiplayer? All right, because you could be saying, well, Alex, what else are they going to do? Or like, well, if you're so mad at it, what would you want them to do in its place? Honestly, well, that's the thing. Again, that's the catch-22. I don't mind that they're doing it. And if it's like a multiplayer-centric team, I can't ask for an Uncharted 5. I can't ask for a Jak and Daxter game. I can't ask for a brand new IP that's a single-player story game, right? If we're talking about a team that was built from the ground up, kind of a smaller team, but a team that was built to make the multiplayer for The Last of Us Part 2, and I would say, okay, cancel it, make something else. What are you really going to tell them to make? It's got to be another multiplayer game, right? So you might as well do it. A second thing is, in how I describe the game, you could say I am playing devil's advocate with myself, because if the game is so self-contained, where it works so well on its own, you do not need the main game, it's so separate, and maybe even does things better than the main game, right? It's got some sort of weird hybrid story to it because of maybe like the survivor camps that they introduced in factions back in the day, right? But it's a battle royale game, there's team deathmatch, it's got all of these different multiplayer modes, but it's completely self-sustained, right? Like, would that work? Would that be fine? And could that come out no matter what? Could it come out 5 years after Last of Us Part 2? I would argue yes. So to me, again, it's not I'm dunking on Naughty Dog. I'm so mad at them. I'm so upset. I'm so mad at this game. None of that stuff, right? It's just I'm a little concerned that the longer it goes on, the less people are going to care about it, and I actually do think they're going to nail it. I really do. I know some people were very certain on the actual game, and some people were proven right, and some people were proven wrong, depending on where you stand on the story of The Last of Us Part 2, but I feel very good about the multiplayer. I think they're going to do something really special, and I think they're going to nail it. So I'm more or less just worried on how many people are going to come along for that ride. But if it's everything I want it to be, if it's everything we've heard that it could potentially be, I don't think it has to worry anyway. You know what I mean? So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think it's too late? Do you think it could be years before we see it? Do you think it matters when it comes out? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, leave a like. It definitely would help this video out. And again, if you guys want to subscribe to my second channel, Podcast Now Plus is its name. Links in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. I'll obviously be covering this quite a bit once it starts rolling out and we get info on it, right? And until then, I'll see you all on the next video.